The Las Vegas Raiders are gearing up for their first game of the season against the Los Angeles Chargers. Practice is in full swing, and the team is working hard, learning the plays, and getting better each day. It's practically a home game for the Raiders, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. We've got some exciting updates too. Brock Bowers is back and fully healthy, ready to make an impact. There's also some buzz around the connection between quarterback Garner Minshew and wide receiver Devontae Adams, which we'll dive into a bit later. And Christian Wilkerson had some interesting things to say as well. But first, let's talk about Brock Bowers. As a rookie, one of the biggest challenges is adjusting to the speed of the NFL. The linebackers are faster, the cornerbacks are quicker, and the defensive linemen hit harder than they do in college. Bowers has to adapt to all of this. But speed isn't the only thing he needs to get used to. There are a lot of little details that make a difference on the field. For example, if the right tackle struggles, the Raiders might line Bowers up next to him at tight end to help block. He has to read what the defensive end is doing. If the defender moves wide, Bowers might need to release differently to slow down the pass rush. If the defensive end moves inside, Bowers has to chip in and block. These are the split-second decisions that make all the difference. Then there's the passing game. If Bowers is running a route to help Devontae Adams get open, he has to understand what the defense is doing. In a cover 2, for instance, he might need to adjust his route one way, while in cover 3, it could be something completely different. These little adjustments are crucial, and missing practice time would make it even harder to be prepared for the season opener. But here's the good news. Bowers is back on the field, practicing and getting ready. I'm really excited to see him in action because he's not your typical rookie. Some scouts even ranked him as the top player in this year's draft, which says a lot about his talent. He's going to be a game changer for the Raiders' offense, and I can't wait to see how head coach Luke Getsy uses him. Speaking of coaches, we also got some news from head coach Antonio Pierce about defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. Graham will be calling plays from the press box this season, which is a bit of a change. Last year, he was on the sidelines, but he didn't have as much success. Some people think moving to the press box made a difference, and it looks like that's where he'll be this season too. On the other hand, offensive coordinator Luke Getsy will stay on the sidelines, where he's always been. I think it makes sense because it allows him to talk directly to the players, review plays on the iPad, and make quick adjustments. Being on the sidelines lets him have that hands-on approach, which can be a big advantage when things need to change on the fly. In other news, there's a chance we could see Jackson Powers-Johnson start. Antonio Pierce was asked about the rookie, and it sounds like he's healthy and ready to go. If he's in the lineup, the Raiders' offensive line will be solid, with Colton Miller at left tackle, Powers-Johnson at left guard, Andre James at center, and Andre Pete at right guard. There's still some uncertainty about the Raiders' offensive line, especially with Dylan Parham. It seems likely that Parham will get the start, but there's a strong case for Jackson Powers-Johnson, who has shown a lot of potential. At right tackle, Thayer Munford could be a safer choice early on, but rookie DJ Glaze has more long-term upside. Either way, the core group looks to be Colton Miller at left tackle, Powers-Johnson, or Parham at left guard, Andre James at center, and Andre Pete at right guard, with Munford or Glaze at right tackle. However, even though the unofficial depth chart came out yesterday, don't be surprised if we see some changes before the first game. Antonio Pierce hinted at this, and if past seasons are any indication, the initial depth chart doesn't always reflect who will actually start. In fact, over the past 3 years, the starting offensive line for Week 1 hasn't always matched the depth chart released beforehand. For example, players like Lester Cotton and John Simpson were listed as starters in previous seasons, only to be replaced shortly after. Personally, I hope Jackson Powers-Johnson gets the nod. If your guards can move defenders off the ball, your running game will thrive. Powers-Johnson has the ability to cut off defenders and create space in a way that would really benefit the Raiders' run game. While Cody Whitehair is solid, I believe Powers-Johnson would be more effective in those key moments. On the defensive side, Antonio Pierce also had some high praise for Christian Wilkins. He highlighted Wilkins' work ethic and leadership, comparing him to Max Crosby. According to Pierce, Wilkins is the type of player who shows up early, stays late, and always puts in the work. He's a perfectionist who strives to be the best, and he's a great teammate who helps the younger defensive players improve. This kind of dedication is contagious, and it's clear Wilkins is a key piece of the defense. Wilkins himself had some positive things to say about Pierce. He appreciates Pierce's coaching style, mentioning how Pierce puts a lot of responsibility on the players and sets high standards for everyone, including himself. Wilkins noted that Pierce is consistent, bringing the same energy and focus every day. It's easy for the players to get behind a coach like that, someone who leads by example and holds everyone accountable. This type of coaching reminds me of what players say about other successful coaches like Dan Campbell or Robert Saleh. These coaches are relatable, understand their players, and know how to bring out the best in them. Antonio Pierce seems to be building that same type of culture with the Raiders. He's rallied the team and created a positive environment, but now it's up to his coordinators to execute. For the Raiders to succeed, it's going to come down to coaching. Luke Getsy has to maximize what Gardner Minshew can do, especially limiting turnovers and getting the offense to play smart, efficient football. The talent is there, but the Raiders' success will depend on whether the coaching staff can put it all together. Christian Wilkins had some high praise for Gardner Minshew, even throwing in some humor. He said, "What's that word the kids use nowadays? Aura." Yeah, Gardner definitely has some aura. Wilkins added that Minshew is just a fun guy to be around. He and Minshew go way back to college, and they were drafted the same year, so there's a mutual respect between them. Wilkins highlighted Minshew's infectious personality and positive energy, noting that he comes in every day with a smile, ready to work. It's not just Wilkins who's noticed this. Antonio Pierce and other players have spoken about Minshew's ability to rally the team. Even though some fans were critical of Minshew in the preseason, questioning his accuracy and ability to win over key players like Davante Adams, it seems that's not the case within the team. Minshew has stepped up, especially now that he's in direct competition with Aiden O'Connell, and he's starting to look like the leader this team needs. We'll get a chance to see if Minshew can keep building on this in just a few days, and I'm excited to see how he leads the Raiders once they hit the field. Minshew was also asked about his connection with Davante Adams, and his response was positive. "We were just talking about how much better our timing has gotten these last couple of weeks. I'm understanding how he moves, and we're seeing the game in sync. I feel really good about that, and I'm excited to throw to him for real." That's the kind of talk you love to hear leading up to the season opener. I think the Raiders' offense has serious potential, and I wouldn't be surprised if Minshew and Adams come out swinging. I'm expecting Adams to put up big numbers, maybe even over 100 yards, despite the Chargers likely bracketing him. With the attention Adams will draw, guys like Jakobi Meyers, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, and Trey Tucker could see some opportunities to make big plays. I think Gardner Minshew is going to sling the ball, and I wouldn't be shocked if he throws for over 300 yards against the Chargers. Let's be real, I'm not convinced the Chargers' defense is as strong as it needs to be. Their new defensive scheme is simplified, but that could leave them vulnerable to a dynamic Raiders offense. It's basically a home game for the Raiders since it's in LA, so, Raider Nation's going to show up in force. That energy is going to fire up the players and could be a huge advantage. There's a lot of buzz going around right now, and I'm pumped. I'll be dropping a full Raiders versus Chargers preview soon, probably tomorrow. I almost released it today, but with all the buzz around Brock Bowers, Minshew, and Christian Wilkins, I wanted to dive into that first. Raiders fans, what do you think? Drop a comment, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.